Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. This Friday, November the 17th, I'm going to do the call to order this morning, and I'm going to turn to John Metcalf, our Vice Chair, to do the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Chair Foster. The Niagara Peninsula watershed is situated within the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Adirondack, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississauga, the Credit, many whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties number 3, 4, and 381, and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, the watershed is home to many First Nation, Métis, Inuit peoples. Through the 2021-2033 strategic plan, we confirm our commitment to shared stewardship of natural resources and deep appreciation of Indigenous culture and history in the watershed.
Thank you, John. Approval of the agenda this morning. So, first of all, we're going to amend to include a presentation by Eric, the manager of land planning, re NPCA. You're writing.
Do the roll call.
No, not yet. Chandra's trying to. Chandra wants to do the roll call. Anyway, we're going to be doing the NPCA. Sorry, your writing has got me there.
So we're going to do a presentation on 30 by 30 NPCA contributions to Canada target.
Okay, so it's the 30 by 30 Canadian biodiversity targets. So that's going to be added into the agenda. Is there anything else anybody wishes to add to the agenda this morning? Seeing none, Member Beattie, could you move that we accept the agenda? And Member Cridlin, can you second that, please? All those in favor? That is carried. Now we will do the roll call, because I forgot to do that and Chandra was correcting me. So go ahead.
Member Beattie is there. Member Clark. Donna Cridlin.
Here.
Brian Grant.
Here.
Diana Hewson.
Present.
John Metcalf.
Present?
Patrick O'Neill.
Present.
Michelle Seaborn.
Present.
Mark Tedison.
Present.
Chair Foster.
And I am here. And are there any declarations of conflict of interest this morning? Hearing or seeing none, let us move on to the approval of previous board minutes. So we have the minutes of the full authority meeting dated October the 20th, 2023, and also the closed session minutes of the full authority meeting dated October 20th, 2023. Member Metcalf, can I get you to move that? Member O'Neill, could you please second that? Any questions or any comments to the minutes? Seeing or hearing none, please vote. If you're in favor, please raise your hands. And that is carried. Chair's update. I have a few things this morning that I wanted to brief everybody on. First of all, a very happy event yesterday. We were at the Women in Business GNCC meeting, and our own Chandra Sharma had been nominated for one of the awards. She was, although Chandra did not win it, I can tell you she was held in very high esteem in and amongst a wide variety of, I will say, executives here within Niagara. So, Chandra, congratulations on the nomination. It's too bad you didn't win. I would have voted for you, but anyway, that being said, it was a great day, and so a great event. Two other things have gone on. One, Director Christie and I were discussing it earlier today. The heritage designation paper that the town of Lincoln has been working on, coming from their committee, has been passed to Director Christie and here at for the Balls Falls area. So the Heritage Committee at the town of Lincoln will be looking at this as well. So I happen to be related to the chair of the Heritage Committee. My son is chairing that committee. So I would say it's a labor of love that went into play with that overall presentation. So anyway, that's now in the hands of us with the NPCA, and I look forward to coming up with a good program with that over the course of the next while. The third thing, so the CEO Sharma and I were at Port Colborne back, was it 2 weeks ago? I think it was. Anyway, we were at an announcement. So what's happened is the Seaway Authority has passed over some land to HOPA, which is the Hamilton Oshawa Ports Authority. And it's a chunk of land that's just off to the side of the canal in that area. MP Badaway, as well as Port Colborne, Thorold, and a wide variety of groups, are in the process of looking at doing something with that land. This has a strong overlap with the Great Lakes watershed initiatives that are going on. This was the item that I had been talking about earlier, that Chandra and I had been in discussions. It was confidential up until approximately a week before that particular announcement, but we have some choices going into the future with that particular development down there as the NPCA to see what type of involvement we want to have within that particular development of land. This all evolved originally from Mayor Easton's motion that came through Regional Council back some time ago about supporting the watershed initiatives, particularly in and around shoreline erosion. And of course, we know that the conservation authorities are doing a lot of work in that area. So anyway, long story short, we have got ourselves in a position that we're actually going to be having discussions in and around things. So as this shapes up over the course of the next, I'd say year and a half, certainly it's going to be some great discussions that are going to go on, and we're going to be able to see what we can do from a conservation authority in and around that project down there. So correspondence. There's one piece of correspondence this morning dated October the 23rd, 2023 from the City of Niagara Falls concerning statutory public meeting for a regional official plan amendment application. And it's the proposed upper quarries in the City of Niagara Falls. So this is correspondence. So Member Taddison, can I get you to move that we accept this correspondence? Member Hewson, can I get you to second it, please?
That's a yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments to this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hands. That is carried. So let us move into our presentations this morning. Eric Baldwin in the 30 by 30 biodiversity targets. Eric, you have the floor, sir.
All right, through the chair, thank you for having me today. I'm just going to give a brief presentation on the 30 by 30 program in Canada Target 1. This program in particular for NPCA is getting a lot of attention with the recent press release from NPCA about our action on the program. I've done 2 radio hits already and potentially another media piece next week. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on how this program came about through the UN, what the biodiversity targets are more locally in Canada, talk to you about the pathway to Canada Target 1, which may be the term that most are familiar with, and then hopefully spend a bit more time on current NPCA contributions, as well as some continuing and future opportunities. So back in 2010, there was a UN Convention on Biological Diversity in Aichi, Japan, and what that conference established was a few things. One was again noting the changes, the negative impacts to biodiversity throughout the world, just reacting to pressures from developments and things of that nature. And so at the highest level, they recognized 2011 to 2020 as the decade for biodiversity. And this particular group was developing their strategic plan for biodiversity for that same period. And in particular, coming out of that strategy, as well as that conference, all the member nations, you can see in the bottom right of this particular slide, they adopted Target 11. Where their main focus was by 2020 that at least 17% of lands and waters would be protected in some meaningful fashion at a local scale, at a national scale for all the member nations. So moving ahead to more recently at 2022, December 2022, the Conference of the Parties 15 in Montreal. It was a continuation of a conference or a working group first started in Kunming, China. The same organization and same member nations reached a landmark agreement where they were going to increase those targets to 30%, or the 30 by 30, which is the term that many are probably familiar with now. And same relative background to the initiative, focusing on battling two of the what the UN is recognizing as two of the major challenges facing our environment in moving forward, both from climate change and effects on biodiversity and loss of biodiversity throughout the world. And so with this landmark agreement, they established the 30 by 30 target, where again 30% of inland waters and terrestrial habitats would be protected in a meaningful fashion by each member nation by 2030. So bringing that back to a more local scale and how Canada enacted this and adopted this. So after 2010 and the initial target of the initial target of protecting 17% of lands and waters by 2020, Canada brought that back home, and in the mid-2010s was developing our own biodiversity strategy. If you look online, you try to find the current biodiversity strategy. It's one from 1993 or 1995. It hasn't been updated in a while. So a lot of partner groups within Canada are looking to update that. And so hence what you see on the left of your screen in that image is the initial stages of that, and adopting a biodiversity set of biodiversity goals and targets for Canada as of 2020. And that's where Canada Target 1 comes from. And as you can see on the screen, so when the initiative was first developed at the UN in Aichi, it was their Target 11. Canada brought that back to a more local scale and adopted it as Canada Target 1. And then since then, obviously with the the recent committee conference of the parties in Montreal last year, that goal has been upgraded to the 30 by 30 target, which again is what most people might be familiar with now. So with the graphic on the left, I'm not expecting you to read it. There's a fair amount of text. It's fairly small. But within Canada, what a lot of the partner groups, which is what's been highlighted in the red square, obviously Canada being such a large nation, a large landmass at its base, plus a number of local jurisdictions from the provinces and territories, as well as all the local and national ministries that would be involved. Really what this is recognizing is all the partners that we need to be involved for Canada to achieve Target 1 and help Canada and all the partners go along what they call this pathway to achieve Target 1. And then so what you see on the right is very high level, using in that top box protected areas, OECMs and Indigenous protected areas, talking about three main categories of protected areas or protected spaces, if you will, on helping Canada achieve this target. So from a protected areas perspective, that's your traditional national parks, provincial parks, different countries, state parks in the US, that kind of thing, that you would automatically think of when you have a natural space protected by some level of legislation. More locally, whether it's through the Niagara Escarpment Plan, municipal official plans and various designations, Greenbelt, a variety of levels from the provincial level to the local level as well. The acronym of OECMs, it's Other Effective Conservation Measures. What that is recognizing is that there are agencies, groups outside of national and provincial ministries, outside of conservation authorities, and outside of municipalities that may own lands that absolutely qualify and absolutely meet the objectives of Canada Target 1 and ultimately the UN targets as well. And then the third category there, especially relevant in countries like Canada, which have vibrant and important Indigenous populations, is working directly with our Indigenous communities to establish Indigenous protected and conserved areas, and also having those qualify as part of a satisfactory measure of protection and qualify for Canada Target 1 and ultimately the UN targets. And gradually bring it down to a more focused level, the CPCAD database, very technical. It's a Canadian Protected and Conserved Areas database. That is exactly what the name suggests, the database of protected areas that all of the different ministries, all of the different levels of government and jurisdictions throughout Canada have submitted what they believe to be eligible properties to this database, and then you ultimately get formal notice that your areas that you've submitted have qualified, and they now rest within that database, and they are confirmed to be meeting all the requirements of the program, and they are helping Canada along this pathway to Target 1 and helping us achieve that 30 by 30 goal. And then as we move forward, there are a variety of government programs that we are currently involved in and can continue to be involved in to help us further along that path. And so when we talk about NPCA contribution and future opportunities for Canada's Target 1, what you see on the left is just a quick screenshot of a local St. Catharines newspaper article, just further detailing information on our press release as of last week. And importantly, what it's recognizing is the 11 conservation areas that were recently formally recognized. And those include Beamer, Cave Springs, Humberstone, Lathrop, Louth, Morgan's Point, Mountain View, Mud Lake, Wainfleet Wetlands, Willoughby Marsh, and Wolverton. What's not included in this article is that we had already done work a couple of years ago to already include the Wainfleet Bog as part of this program. So the article notes that we have a total of 1,600 hectares of NPCA lands enrolled in this program already. Rough math, that's about 50 to 55% of our land holdings. So there are certainly opportunities as we move forward to include additional lands if we choose to do so. And then lastly, what I'll talk about on the right, again, there's a lot of text there. I don't expect you to be able to read that and see it, but it's just noting that there are a lot of federal programs the conservation authorities have access to. There are some provincial programs that have been established, but I think as we've talked about before, they do often focus on protection agencies other than conservation authorities, to put it nicely. But the federal programs have been very successful for us. Conservation Ontario has done an excellent job of advocating for conservation authorities in Ontario. And what this is finally doing is giving some additional recognition to conservation authorities in the unique role, unique niche that we sit in and how we protect these important spaces. Because at the federal level, they realized that they were going to have difficulty achieving even the original 17% target, let alone the 30 by 30 target, if they didn't think outside the box and go beyond those traditional spaces of national parks and provincial parks. And so that's where Conservation Ontario and a lot of the local partners came in. And conservation authorities throughout the province are gradually registering their lands within this program. And as many of the staff can attest to, we've already been very successful with both the programs noted on the right. We've had funding for Morgan's Point and the acquisition there. We've had funding for the Rockaway Community Center acquisition come through this program. And we've got a few active acquisitions that are being considered by the federal government for funding through these programs as well. And as we've brought forward a variety of land acquisition opportunities through past reports, we've noted this in those reports as well, as that as we target those additional properties, it's one of the ways we can draw more importance and highlight more importance in the significance of the properties we are acquiring, as well as our ability to help Canada along the pathway to Canada Target 1 and help us achieve our goals. And that is it. And I'll answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Eric. Good overview. Are there any questions from any members of the board? I can't see you, but anyone online wish any questions? I don't hear anyone. With that, very well done. Thank you, Eric. Can I get Councillor Grant or Member Grant to move and Member Seaborn to second the receipt of this presentation?
You're nodding yes. I think you can't see us, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you are. Oh, you're very big in the background here.
Yes, I'll second it.
Great, thank you.
While we're all speaking, I'll move it.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. We have no delegations, we have no, and we do have one consent item this morning, and it's report FA 49-23, Conservation Authority Act transition requirement for programs and services for the year 2024. So, and this is for receipts, so I'm going to put it on the floor and then turn it to Chandra. So, Member Cridlin, would you please move this? And Member Beattie, would you please second? Great. And I'm going to turn it to Chandra.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The report simply highlights, as you know, since the development of programs and services requirement for conservation authorities and the updates to the Conservation Authority Act, there have been several transition requirements through the transition regulation. Over the last 3 years, we have completed a majority of work, including alignment of budgets through the new levy regulation and development of programs and services, and a whole range of other things. Next year is going to be another busy year, as you can see from the list that is in the report. There is a variety of deliverables that are due by the end of December 2024. Now, I just wanted to draw your attention that all these items are big ticket items. We have our own staff team internally working on through these, working with Conservation Ontario, and over the course of 2024, we will be doing a series of public consultations. There is a requirement for public consultation on the watershed resource management strategy and the land pieces here on land management planning. And we'll be bringing those items to the board for approval. They'll be embedded in our work plans for 2024. Wanted to give you a high-level overview of what these are and take any questions. Otherwise, you'll hear from it throughout the year. And what I wanted to do is commend staff within the existing budgets. Without a major increase, we've been able to accommodate all of these major pieces, which means everybody's working really hard to complete these transition requirements for the province. And they're good for us as well to bring things in order.
Great, thank you, Chandra. Any questions for Chandra at this point? Seeing none.
I have a question, Chair.
Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, I do have, I guess, in reviewing this document and seeing, raises alarm bells for me. I know, I believe the Escarpment Commission just was directed to, I believe, transfer their land. So I'm wondering, how does this, the interest in land inventory, how could that potentially affect us?
I will ask Eric to add. I'll let him to answer the question first. Eric is doing the inventory. What I can tell you, in this inventory, the province really wants Conservation Authority to properly document the lands they own, the parcel size, and all the other details. It's an overview of, every land basically that you own. In addition to that, if we identify any land that was bought with provincial funding in the past, and this is called provincial transfers or Section 39 funding, if any of that land is available, for any future development. But again, in NPCA's case, based on our inventory, we have a few parcels of land purchased through the support of the province. There is a piece in Binbrook, the Binbrook Dam. That's just a reminder that some of these properties back in the day were purchased because of their potential to develop flood management mitigation measures. And Binbrook is one of those properties where we have the Binbrook Dam, and those are hazard lands, and they remain hazard land going forward. So in NPCA's case, I do not think in our inventory there is any piece of land that is available for any future development. And Eric, you can attest to that, please.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, yes, just to add to what CEO Sharma said is, as we work on the inventory, there's a number of different layers that we'll have to look at. A lot of the information we do have at hand, it's just assembling it into a single place. So actually completing the inventory is not going to be too much of a concern. In terms of the lands and evaluating them for those that might be suitable for contributing to the provincial housing targets, as was alluded to, we don't feel there's going to be many parcels, if any, that actually satisfy those objectives for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is, yes, there are some parcels that we would have acquired decades ago with support from provincial funding, but those are often pieces of critical critical flood and erosion control infrastructure that absolutely cannot be disposed of. There are other pieces that are also protected by multiple layers of planning policy, both provincially and municipally as well. So those would not be able to support it. And then when you also consider our past practices, current practices for land acquisition, there's going to be a number of parcels that we've acquired with donated dollars. To properly dispose of those, even if we were requested to, we'd have to get permissions from the original donors to do so. So that's going to add an additional layer. We also have ecological gifts, potentially, where it's a federal program. You would have to get permission from the federal agencies to do that as well. So overall, I don't think we're concerned at all that we'll have lands that meet those criteria.
Member Houston?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I think that's good to hear, because I think, we all know that the actual funding from the province has dwindled over time, and it's actually been our municipal partners who've helped with, fund some of our land acquisition as well as our donors. And I would hate to see those lands transferred over for development, considering the interest was ecological preservation or natural preservation. So, okay, I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Houston. Are there any other questions? Oh, Member Beattie, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a comment, really. When you're down at Conservation Ontario, make sure that Conservation Ontario, as the voice of the conservation authorities, approach the government and say, would you like another Greenbelt episode? If you try to take the lands away from the people who have come to use them. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Seeing no other questions or comments, I guess all in favor, since we do have this on the floor. And that's carried. We're going to move into committee reports. First report this morning is the Governance Committee meeting minutes dated Thursday, November the 9th. Can I get Member Seaborn to move that? And Member Taddison, could you please second that?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Seconded.
Yep. Any question or comments to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Second committee report, well, this is kind of a committee report. It follows up from others, but report number FA 4723 concerning the NPCA insurance coverage, and this is for receipt. So can I get Member O'Neill to move that? Member Metcalf, can you please second that? I'm going to turn this to Lise. Any commentary on this, Lise, please? Lise, please.
Thank you, Chair Foster. I'm certainly happy to provide a brief summary of this report if you prefer. However, it's routine. Our insurance coverage has remained stable in terms of the limits and the deductibles and such. We continue to be participants in the Conservation Ontario group insurance consortium of sorts, which ideally then provides us with reduced interest rates. This committee does commit to going to market every 5 years to make sure that the rates that we are being charged are competitive. That 5-year mark is due shortly, probably in either 2024 or early 2025. The typical coverages are included are property, equipment breakdown, commercial general liability, automobile, errors and emissions, umbrella liabilities, director and officer's liability, cyber insurance, drone coverage, group health insurance for the organization, and group accident insurance specific to the board members. The financial implications, to give you a sense of the size of this disbursement for the organization, general insurance is an annual disbursement of $265,000. Group health insurance for the employees is $350,000, and group accident insurance for the board is $212,000. On page 40 of your report is also a chart outlining all of the various deductibles for each piece and the ceilings and coverages therein. So happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions on this? I do not see anyone putting their hands up with that. Just two things. This is coming up at all the levels of government as well. There's our Corporate Services Committee at Niagara Region. The region actually took a step back. We were going to go out and do a review, but it's not a favorable time to be doing a lot of things right at the moment, to say the least. But I'm just amazed at the amount of money that we're spending on insurance. It's pretty obvious insurance companies are certainly getting an awful lot of money out of organizations for this coverage. So it's been moved and seconded, and this is for receipt. All those in favor? And that is carried. We have no motions this morning. Is there any notices of motion anyone wishes to bring forward? Seeing none, and we're going to go into new business. Member Houston, Niagara Peninsula Conservation Foundation.
Thank you, Chair. So, yep, just giving my update. Just a reminder, we do have our Director's Challenge on. It goes until the end of the year. So if you haven't participated yet, I'm encouraging you to do so. So the Director's Challenge includes members of this board as well as the NPCF board, our Public Advisory Committee, and also senior staff. I think, attaining a good participation rate, it really helps us when we're trying to facilitate donations from other organizations, knowing that if we're asking others to give, it shows good faith that we're also giving to the organization. And we're only at about a participation rate of 17%. So we're hoping to bump that up before the end of the year. The Winter Solstice concert at Balls Falls is going to be December 20th. The tickets are now available and we're doing some promotion for that. We're also going to be having a silent auction. So if anyone knows of any potential donors for prizes, or if anyone would like to consider submitting something, we would welcome the item. We also we did a video with Niagara College for the Comfort Maple. That project should be completed by the end of the year. Excited to see how that turns out. And we also participated in the NPCA Volunteer Appreciation Event, which was a great event to recognize some of the volunteers that are helping our organization with the many activities and properties that we manage. We were also a table sponsor in Hamilton at the Association of Fundraising Professionals for National Day of Philanthropy. We had a number of board members and staff attend that event. And we're also, the NPCF specifically is going to be recognized at the Volunteer Appreciation Evening for the town of Pelham on November the 22nd. Finally, we do have a social media campaign thanking donors to date and raising awareness for the NPCF, which will be held on November 28th, which is Giving Tuesday. That's it for me, Chair. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Any questions to Member Houston on the foundation? I'm seeing none. Thank you, Diana. Anyone else has any new business this morning? Member Metcalf.
Just more of a comment. The new business, I attended the volunteer recognition night, and it was very well attended and very well planned. It was a great evening to acknowledge the volunteers that work so hard with the NPCA, the young groups that were there. It was encouraging to see the young people that are involved in the preservation and conservation. So it was a great night. I was shunned at the start, but that's okay. We got things straightened around, and I feel better now.
I have apologized profusely to both Member Metcalf and Member Seaborn for not recognizing him at the beginning of that. So I apologize again So, and I will continue, Member Metcalf. Is there any other new business this morning? Seeing none, so we're going to be going into closed session, and so for those that are watching this online, we're going to be going into closed session for two things. A position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on behalf of the Board of the full authority concerning NPCA lease agreement. That's the first item, and the second item is going to be labor relations, human resources, and it's a confidential report on the compensation review. So that will be the ending our streaming, and we will be doing a motion coming out of that to approve what it is that we did in closed session. So with that, I would like Member Taddison and to move, and Member Cridlin to second that we go into closed session.
Moved.
Right. All those in favor? That is carried. And for those online, thank you very much for being here this morning.